The views and opinions of this broadcast do not reflect the views and opinions of Armed Media, New Productions, and its affiliates. Enjoy the show.
Hi, and welcome to this week's episode of Talk Time with Val. I'm your hostess with the mostest, Val Anistema, and this week I have a special treat for you. Following our series that we were doing prior to last week's show, we are here down at the Center for Opiate Recovery and Reform.
Yeah, Missouri Network for Opiate Reform and Recovery.
And I have with me Jeff Haney. Say hi, Jeff.
Hello.
And I'm going to do first names only to protect privacy of people here. So we have Jessica. Say hello.
Hello.
Danielle.
Hi.
And Larissa.
Hello.
And we are going to be talking about, today we're going to be talking about something that's near and dear to Jessica's heart. So tell me a little bit about this topic that you want to discuss.
So it's about kind of just setting boundaries and bottom line behaviors.
But you called it 13 stepping?
Okay. 13 stepping.
And what exactly is 13 stepping?
And so obviously there's 12 steps in 12-step communities.
What are the 12 steps?
So in like AA, NA, OA, the guidelines on the program. So, one, admitting that we're powerless over our addictions and surrendering to a higher power, to taking personal inventories, to making lists of people that you owe forgiveness to furthering your relationship with your higher power and meditation. That's all covered in the 12 steps.
So it's basically getting to know yourself without addiction and making amends for everything, and it gives you guidelines on how to do that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Kind of helping us find a way in recovery, a new way to live and to be productive members of society again.
And at the end of the day, the 12 steps, in my opinion, teach you how to form relationships. And it's forming a relationship with yourself, your fellow man, and a higher power of your choosing.
So it's not necessarily God per se, it's just knowing that there is something more than you out there and making a connection with it.
So the steps do indicate God. They do say God and of your understanding.
Okay.
People choose different gods, as weird as that sounds, different deities, different religions. At the end of the day, like, your 12-step community typically has their 12 steps. So I'm powerless over alcohol and my life's unmanageable. I'm powerless over heroin and my life's unmanageable. That's your first step. The second step came to believe that a power greater than myself can restore you to sanity. The original co-founders of the 12 steps were Bill Wilson and Dr. Bob from Alcoholics Anonymous, who wrote the 12 steps. And they did not use the same words in their writings twice. They tried to stay away from, they would say, power greater than yourself, creator of the universe, God. They use these type of words in their original manuscripts.
Yeah, because noetic sciences for atheists, true atheists, not just agnostics, but they still believe in noetic sciences, the power of the community and the mind coming together and being something that's greater than themselves. So, see, it works. It applies for everybody across every generation, across every demographic, across every belief system.
And there's other different communities out there. There's Smart Recovery, who they take a scientific approach to recovery. And what Jessica, when we say 13 stepping, what that it kind of entails, and I'll let Jessica get into it, is a man or woman coming into a recovery community and trying to have sex with somebody who's new.
So it could be either a new person who's coming in, who's trying to recover from addiction and forming an attachment to sex, sexualization, sexualism, or it could be someone who's been there and preying on a new person?
Just dirty old fucking men trying to get laid in the program. Let's just be
right. Hey, women have needs
women
too.
Women too. Yeah, no, I was gonna say.
Be like,
That's it.
that's a nice old piece of beef. Right there.
Well, and when you're that new in recovery, also really vulnerable too. So it's
Yeah.
really easy
Yeah.
to go after someone that's new in recovery.
And what I was just talking to Larissa about outside was like using spiritual principles against somebody to have them like you, so that you can further a relationship of your small head, not your big one.
Basically, cultism. It's the idea of someone being so enigmatic or having such a sway over you because they are where you want to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of women who come into the 12-step community, they're broken, right? They're
men too, right?
Severely broken. Men too, but when women come in and they're broken, and I'll let the women speak, and you guys can smack me after I say this, but like generally they do not like other women from what I've seen. And so they'll gravitate towards men because usually when they're in that lifestyle of doing drugs every day and drinking every day, they're around a lot of guys, so they're used to being around guys.
Well, you got to look at it this way. The only reason they won't like other women per se is because of two things. One, the other woman is a reflection of themselves, who they don't like seeing in themselves, their behavior. Or two, the other person has achieved something or, gotten to a point where they want to be and they're not there yet. And that's typically what breeds that type of dissatisfaction. But you're right, guys. It happens a lot with us because we're more emotive.
And you got women here, I mean, we're using first names for them, so they can be a little bit more on their words. But, they're sitting right here. We can ask.
Yeah. I want to get into Jessica because this is Jessica's passion. Right? It's something that you mentioned that there was, let's segue with the article that you were mentioning and then get into maybe personal stories or examples, things like that, just to explain to the listeners what we're talking about when we say 13 stepping.
Okay, so I think it's been pretty well addressed, but yeah, so, and it can't, either way, men or women, but there is a vulnerability about us when we are coming into the community trying to get help from that community. And whether it be the 12 steps or smart recovery, refuge recovery, where we're coming in there to find a different way to live because the way that we're living is not working. And we do look at those people in those programs as seeing what they have, and we want that. And there's some members then of those communities that take advantage of that situation. And they tell those vulnerable people, man or woman, yes, they can quote the book. They can, I know this program. I can help you with this program. Let me be the guide for you.
They look so put together.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. I will guide you through this process. And really the motivation and intention behind that is not to help this individual. It's to use sexual misconduct.
Now, do you think that is true for all? Do you think it may start off at times where you truly want to help someone and they don't realize that they are still recovering as well? So
yes.
Sometimes it gets into you said that the average addict is very selfish, very narcissistic. So it could be that it feeds into the ego, which in turn makes them feel like, okay, well, I am above reproach at this point, so I no boundaries are there.
And it's very weird that you hit on that. I was talking with a girlfriend about this last night, that I believe that the survival instinct that they have made for themselves in recovery, these people that are kind of preying on the newcomers, is that egotistical facade of this is me in recovery, I know everything, and it's switched from whatever survival instinct that they needed when they were out using, whatever ego that they were using then. Now the new thing is they are this person. This is their new facade. This is their ego is put behind this. I am this person in recovery. I can help this person. I can manipulate these people. Like it's switched. Their survival instinct just switched from using to not using, but still using their ego.
Right.
And really,
it's really easy to fall back on ego.
Oh, yeah. And really the thing that drives our ego is those underlying feelings of, low self-worth and low self-esteem. And so the same thing that's making these people, feel like that they can approach these vulnerable men and women is the same thing that's making these vulnerable men and women fall for being approached.
And it's the root of what brought them here in the first place. And the only reason I touched on that now is because later on in the show, Jessica's going to be talking about, here's the thing, and this is, I really respect this about her. She's not just looking at the victims. she's going to be looking at the people who are, well, the aggressors in the situation as well, because as she pointed out to me earlier, they are also victims. They are victims of addiction, and as a result, their behavior, while not excusable, will have some types of explanation, and they still need help. So you can't just kick them out of the program. They still need help. Let's explore.
So I got something to say real quick.
Yeah.
So as we talk about this, I might have to play devil's advocate, because as we're talking about this, the 12-step community, you're told not to get in a relationship. You're told not to
with
do
another addict.
You're told women stick with women, men stick with men. At the end of the day, let's just say what it is, right? It's two people in a relationship. If it's recovery, if it's, you're at the, local hair salon and you meet somebody and you get in a relationship with them, or if you're at the local casino and you meet and get in a relationship with them, people are going to have sex, right? People are going to get together and it's our human instinct to do this, right?
Primal urge to copulate. Right.
And so I can't sit here and let happen, or not let happen, but one thing I will speak up on is the 12-step community is generally a safe place to go to.
Yes. Right. And we don't want to make it seem like this 13-stepping is a norm. It's just that something that happened, and it was in the news recently, and that's why we're addressing it.
And so in the case that was in the news, it's an extreme situation. A person was murdered. I mean, that's not acceptable.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. So that's not. Is it?
Which one are you talking about?
In California, there was a man and woman who, she came into recovery. He supposedly 13-stepped her, and there was she moved in with him. There was some relapse, from my understanding. I don't remember the full story. I've read it. I've read the case law behind it. But they ended up he ended up murdering her, and so her family ended up suing Alcoholics Anonymous for the actions because he claimed he was her sponsor.
Oh, okay.
There's 2 million people in Alcoholics Anonymous, and that's an extreme situation. But
I should think there's more than 2 million.
13-stepping does happen, sure, but sometimes I think we emphasize the 13-stepper and not emphasize being safe in recovery.
Right. Okay, I get where you're going. So here's the thing. Basically, you can walk out of your house for 5 years straight, cross the same street, see the number 40 bus, you buy an orange from the grocer at the corner, walk over to your newsstand, open your newsstand, and your day is good. This is your process for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. On day 7th of your 9th year, you walk out, the number 40 bus is a little bit quicker or earlier than it's supposed to be, and because this is your routine, you just step out and, you got hit by the bus. You didn't die, you learned a lesson. Things happen once in a while when you're not aware, which is what we're doing, building awareness. Things happen that are out of your control. Essentially, humans have free will. These programs are here to help, and one individual human, their thoughts, their deeds, their actions, in no way shows a defamation for the organization.
Right.
The organization is still there to help. There are still, goals. It's just that we live in a society where we have to be aware, and we have to know how to take personal responsibility and to comport ourselves in different situations, or else things are going to happen. All right. So,
and that's where, again, the men staying with men, women staying with women is so said so many times in meetings in the 12-step community. On top of that, having someone who's your sponsor in these communities is invaluable, because you have to have someone who's going to walk you through and say,
what's the role of a sponsor?
In my opinion, a sponsor just takes you through 12 steps.
It's a guide.
So someone who's been there, who's been in recovery for a while.
Yeah, in the 12-step community, they gets skewed. It gets more, in my opinion, they get more into life coaches and do this and I'll do this and I'll do that. Fuck that. I fucking take them through the 12 steps. I don't. Let me rephrase that. Take them through the 12 steps and keep it rolling. You know, that's
Right.
that's
I'm
what.
here if you need me, but I'm not going to tell you how to live your life. Essentially, you're here to learn how to live your life on your own.
Well,
And you're not replacing the drug crutch with someone else telling you how to.
yeah,
live your
the
life.
third step states clearly: turn our will and our lives over to care of God as you understand Him. So if you're turning your will and your life over to care of a God, right?
Yeah.
And you're truly doing it, all of this starts to become minutiae, right? The
Right.
13th step being the who's doing this and Susie's sleeping with this person and that person. Like maybe
Susie
that's
wants
God's
to,
will.
and not
Maybe
Susie's will.
Maybe it's God's will.
Well, God's will
Maybe-
is free will.
Maybe they get together and they have beautiful babies and they have, you know, a wonderful relationship for the rest of their lives. Maybe they don't. I don't know.
What's going on? Go on, share. So Danielle said this cute little smile on her face, and she's pointing to herself right now. And you're not in recovery, you stated
I am in
earlier.
recovery.
You are in
I'm
recovery?
just not in recovery for drug addiction. And
Okay.
I think a point that wasn't pointed out earlier is there's 32 different types of 12-step.
Well, there's over 400.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
There's a 12 step for everything.
Right.
But there's 32 that you're aware of?
Yes.
And the ones that you're aware of are based on, is it like gambling, drugs, alcohol?
Overeaters, Emotions Anonymous, Self-Harm Anonymous.
Yeah, Nail Biters Anonymous. They have everything. Seriously, they have everything.
12-step everything.
13 step nail biters.
Well, you know what, though? It kind of shows you that when you think that you're weird, I mean, a lot of us look in the mirror and we think, oh my God, how did I do this? Why did I do this? How could I even have thought this, much less done this? And it's like a private shame. At least knowing that there are over 400 different 12 steps out there shows us there are other people out there just as messed up as we are. And, you know, and we don't need to be ashamed. Essentially, that's my one thing. Don't be ashamed of any action that you do. If you feel like it is wrong, then take action to change it. But feeling shame and hiding it does nothing to help you. In my opinion.
There's Bloggers Anonymous, Cutters Anonymous, Emotions Anonymous, Gamblers Anonymous, Hep C Anonymous, HIV Anonymous.
Huh.
Words I can't even say. Procrastinators Anonymous.
Oh, I was going to
Sign
go
me
to
up,
that,
dude.
but I just didn't want to get out of that.
Schizophrenia Anonymous. Benders Anonymous. Sign me up for that
Oh,
one too.
yeah.
Workaholics Anonymous.
I mean, the root of this is everybody suffering. Everybody in this world is suffering from one thing or another. And until we find the cause of that suffering, we are going to use an outside source to help us feel better. And so there's going to be an anonymous for all the people that are using the same outside source for that healing.
Right.
So, I mean, it
Or
makes
that
sense.
addiction.
Right.
Right. Now, here's the thing. Getting back to the topic at hand here. When you have someone come into a program, right, at that point, they feel, well, they have felt shame. They're feeling a modicum of hope because the only reason you start something is because you're hopeful that it'll work for you. There's a lot of fear and anxiety because what if it doesn't? What if it works for everybody else, but I'm a complete failure and it won't work for me?
Comparing mind, yes.
Right. And so you come in and you're in this vulnerable state. And I mean, this happens not just in these groups, but it also happens, let's say you're in school and you want to fit in with a crowd or a group or a clique or whatever it is and you feel alone. You tend to do things that are outside of the norm. What was the name of that show back in the day with Lindsay Lohan? Redhead girl. And there was a bunch of mean girls. Mean Girls!
Oh, the Moon Girls.
Yeah, right? It's pretty much the same dynamic. You want to fit in. You want to be one of the people. You want to be successful. You want the world to see you as being successful. You go to the people you think can do that. Now, Jessica, you were saying to me that this, let's stop calling it 13 stepping, simply because we don't want to affiliate it with the program. We want to affiliate it with human behavior. Correct. Right? So,
because it does. It happens in schools too. It happens in colleges. It happens in high school.
Exactly.
It's not just the recovery community.
So it's people preying on other people. Victimization. Let's call it victimization. So when does it happen? How does it happen? Now, in your situation, you were saying that you've seen it as a sponsor and as a sponsee.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So like I've had sponsees that I've had people approach me and say, I'm not comfortable with the way that your sponsee keeps texting me. I've got a girlfriend. She keeps blowing up my phone. and I don't want my girlfriend to see those messages. I'm not comfortable going to the meeting anymore. And so I've had to then go to that sponsee and relay, do you find this appropriate?
Okay, so you're
what are the
talking
boundaries?
about somebody who just came into the program and they're approaching somebody who's been there for a while.
Right, my sponsee is new to the program. So again, she's coming in trying to find out how to live now. And sometimes our addictions can manifest in different ways. And a lot of times sexuality becomes our addiction.
Well, sex kind of makes things better.
Right.
For a lot of
or
people.
That's another thing too, is
Okay.
it might not be an addiction, but it might be what makes us fucking feel better that day. That's the outside influence that's going to make us feel better. That's what's going to validate us that day. It's going to make me feel better. And so, they're going to go around trying to find it. But if it's starting to make people uncomfortable and it's getting inappropriate,
yeah,
and it keeps
it's a two-way street.
Right. Because what's important in the recovery community is that we do feel safe, that these are our refuges, that this is where we can go for help, right. And that we aren't feeling preyed upon, and we aren't feeling like I can't go to that group anymore.
And you don't want to have that stress in the situation, because these are people who are more susceptible to relapsing because they're brand new as well.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So, it does absolutely go both ways. And I've also seen poor girls coming into the community that people that should know it's inappropriate to invite them to do the things they're asking them to do aren't asking them to do those things. And, this is like early in recovery, these girls can go do those things with other people from that same community and not have to be in a one-on-one situation with that gentleman, to where they are wondering, should I be having sexual experiences right now when I really need to be focusing on my recovery and those experiences.
Because essentially the sexual experience is a mind-numbing agent of its own to distract you from what you need to be focusing on. And you need to focus on the fact that, hey, addiction is painful. It is a problem. It's something we need to deal with. It's something I am dealing with. But if I find something else to become addicted to,
correct,
maybe not good.
Yeah, and sometimes that can lead to, unfortunately, in this community of recovery, it can lead to that, and it can lead to, when that relationship goes bad or something, then they go back and do their drug of choice. And
you mentioned the story that you mentioned, the news story you mentioned. Let's discuss that.
So,
sorry, I threw you guys off.
Oh, you're fine. So, February 27th, it was on the front page of the Washington Post that this rehab, and I'm doing this in air quotes, mogul was convicted of sexually assaulting 7 female patients of his treatment centers. And, he would do this in ways of even providing them with their drug of choice and then backing off from giving them help. And then once they were really strung out, then having them reel back in.
And you know what? Pimp's still on TV.
So, in the recovery community, there is human trafficking that goes on, and it's super fucking dangerous, and it's something that Missouri Network for Opioid Reform Recovery is trying to fight against.
Seriously?
So what ends up happening is not the human trafficking that you're probably thinking of, but it's what ends up happening is, so Rebel Recovery is affiliated with Missouri Network for Opioid Reform Recovery.
What is Rebel?
Rebel Recovery is down in Florida, and it's a part of our co-owners, and they can. I need to bring them on the show one time so they can talk.
Yeah.
But they fight against. So in different states, there's different laws, and I'm not fucking smart in this stuff, but I'll try to do the best I can. There's different laws that say what you can and cannot do when it comes to insurance. So what happens is these fucking pieces of these people, they will say, I met Larissa, and Larissa wants to go to treatment, and she doesn't have health insurance. I'll bring her down to my treatment center. Behind her back, I will sign her up for insurance. I will bill the insurance company behind her back, and I will bill the shit out of it, right? So you'd say a drug test. It might cost you $5, right? If I and they make $125, $200 off of it. And I drug test her every single day because I think she's using, and I'm sending these urine samples and keep making money off of that. They do a lot of shady things when it comes to some treatment centers across America. And it's something that at Missouri Network you won't experience. We vet any type of treatment center that we use, any people that we help we send them to a reputable place.
Excuse me. So you're telling me that when someone comes and they need help, this didn't even occur to me before, but if you don't have health insurance, you probably can't get help in other states?
It's super, super difficult. Right now in Missouri, we have, and every state's different, right? Illinois, healthcare is free. Is it? Yeah. And so
why are we living in Missouri? Why aren't we moving across the border?
Fuck, go ahead. Go over to that state. And so in Missouri, we have what they call state beds, right? So if you came and 90% of the people that I help don't have insurance. So I have to get them to a place that will accept someone without insurance, and then the state has to fund it. Right now, for a state bed for an inpatient facility, all the funds are dried up in Missouri. So we have to wait until they release more funds, and then we can get people back into beds.
Are you hearing this, listeners? I know some of you have some very, very deep pockets and some very big hearts.
Yeah, MissouriNetwork.org or 844-REBEL-UP, and my cell phone number is 978-902-2680. Donations are definitely welcomed.
If you are on Amazon, you can go to smile.amazon.com and pick Missouri Reform Network as your charity to donate to. And right now we're getting triple points.
Mine's the rainforest. And I didn't know. Okay.
But yeah, unless if your state has state-funded treatment programs, then you're
and it gets ugly, because what ends up happening is I bring Larissa down, I do all this behind her back, and then
does she get billed after?
No, they're super sneaky about it. And then
you have no idea ever.
Right. And so that way I can't say anything to anybody like, oh, why'd I get this bill? And then you start questioning it, and then like, oh, where does insurance come from? So
it gets even more tricky. What they'll end up doing is they'll put them in a what we call here in Missouri sober living facility. They'll put them in sober living.
Like
so upstairs. It's just 8 women living. That's all it is.
Where we're at right now, downtown St. Louis. So the center is downstairs. People come in. They can get help. They can talk. They can get clothing, food.
Narcan,
someone to speak with. Just any assistance they need. And upstairs there's apartments.
Sober living. It's called Mo Better Living.
Mo Better Living, because we mow better in Missouri. That's right.
And so Mo Better Living is a sober living, and it's self-governed people that live in a place. So like places in Florida that I've heard of, California, what they'll do is they'll put that person into a sober living facility, and then they'll bill the insurance for outpatient services. And so they get no fucking services. They're getting 8 women living in a room together, in a house together, and so they get more money out of it. And then they end up paying people. They end up paying people to relapse.
Right.
And that's what she's talking about.
All right. So, we're gonna talk to Jessica about the reason that this topic is so near and dear to your heart. You've been sober how long?
So in April I'll have 6 years.
Congratulations, girl.
Thank you.
Nicely done. So, you can't see Jessica, and when we have once they're more comfortable, and we'll get the UTV stream up and running so that you can be on other live broadcasts, not just the radio streams. But she is a beautiful young woman with the most beautiful curly hair, brilliant smile, right? She has this kind of Hermione Granger thing going about her.
Thank you. I like that.
So, she is 6 years sober, which is awesome. But when she first started out, how old were you when you first started out?
So I would have been 24.
So 24. So you're not a child, not a teenager, but not quite a full grown up yet. Honestly, at that age.
When I was approached, it wasn't when I was first starting.
Okay. All right. So there was an incident, something happened, and we're going to discuss with her. Will you tell us your story?
So, I had been in an abusive relationship with my boyfriend, who I owned a house with, and in that relationship, I had been asked to stop going to my recovery groups and stop doing all that, and through the abuse and being abused and kind of.
Wait, he asked you, your boyfriend asked you to
correct,
stop going?
I would get in trouble when I would go to get
Seriously?
my help. Oh yeah. And
you saw the size of John, right?
Right.
Just pass me a name and address.
That's what we need to
We'll
do
it
for sure. For sure. So in going through that relationship, I was put in a situation to where I was watching intervention episodes wishing I was that person.
What is intervention episodes?
So it's a show on A&E where these people get followed with a camera telling them they're going to be in a documentary, which I'm putting in air quotes because it's their family is hosting an intervention on them, and then they get sent to like treatment.
God, reality TV has gotten crazy.
Yeah.
If my family had
Their suicide rate's fucking phenomenal.
right,
Oh my God.
if that's how my family, I had 2 interventions, and if my family did that to me, I don't even know if we would be talking today. I'm so glad my interventions weren't on camera.
Yeah.
But what makes me laugh so hard is every single time these people fall for the cameras. They're like, oh, you want to do a documentary on me? They're not like, oh, I'm on intervention. The show's been on for 15 years.
Yeah, but
how do you not know?
I'm that important. My life is that important.
But here's the thing, Jeff discussed this, that a lot of addicts feel
Self-important.
exactly,
Yes.
and you have to in order to justify the behavior and justify the action. So and you have to think about it this way too. If your drug of choice is expensive, you're not paying for cable.
Oh, good point.
So you probably don't have A&E unless you're over at mom and dad's house, in which case they're watching, Family Feud.
Yeah, they're not watching intervention if they're having you on it.
Right.
For sure.
So,
But I would sit in my room just watching episodes. I had the A&E app on my Roku. Episode after episode, just looking at my arms, looking at veins, and eventually I drove to go get the drugs and found myself at my dad's. Luckily, instead, my car went there instead of to the dealer's house. I'm really glad I didn't use. But in
the
all,
angels were active that day.
Right. I mean, I'm glad that I still get to be 6 years in April. But in all of that, I searched for help, and I ended up going to a place called the Self-Help Center. And they had a peer specialist, which is what I do now, which is a person that has their own recovery experience, and they got credentialed, and they now help people in the recovery community.
Right.
And they had a peer specialist that did their drug and alcohol groups, and I came in, and he was showing a video on relapse and about how there's a mental, emotional, then a physical relapse. And he turned the video off, said, does anybody have anything to say? And my hand shut up, and I'm like, I'm at physical. I need help. Like, I'm about to go use. And from that moment, he had my number. He drew my whole life up on boards in front of the whole group and showed how I was being pulled apart by work and trying to help my brother get into treatment and all this, and how I deserved better, how he could
Did he
give
do
me
this with
better.
other people in the group as well,
No.
or just you?
Just me.
So he singled you out?
Yes.
Okay.
He singled me out.
How did it make you feel? At the time.
Okay, that's a really interesting question. Important. It made me have this self-importance. Like, good question, girl. It made me have this self-importance that somebody finally cares. Here I am for years getting abused, wanting to use drugs, not knowing what to do, and now somebody's caring enough to show me, okay, you deserve better.
Not just caring though, but they're also showing you, you're coming in there and you're at your lowest point, feeling the worst about yourself, and they're showing you, no, there are great traits about you. I can use you to help treat and teach all these other people as well. You were singled out and put on a semi-pedestal.
I was, and I mean, I was put up on board. And I mean, I still lived with the boyfriend. We had the house together. We had joint finances. I felt stuck. I didn't know what to do there. I had no fucking clue what to do there. It took my NA members to show me how to get out of the financial difficulties I had when I first got sober. So I mean, they showed me how to do finances. So,
okay, but when you first got in there and he put you on these boards and he put you, like he started talking to you, and you know, he was also showing you, you said you wanted to get your brother into recovery and stuff. So he was looking at the other parts of your life that you felt you had no control over, and helping you try to get control.
Correct. And he would also tell me that he would pay for my brother's treatment and all this stuff that is not able for a peer specialist can't do that. We can help you get into treatment. We can't then pay for you to get into treatment. That's and it's very inappropriate. It's actually something about our ethics that we can't promise monetary items. So there were a lot of promises too that made me feel important. Like, you know, like I can help my brother now.
But it wasn't just a matter of being important at this time. So what the reason I was asking this line of questioning was because I want to point out here, at a vulnerable state, there is a predatory mindset that knows that it's an instinctual predatory mindset, because we as human beings, we are animals, right?
Oh, yeah.
And the instinct is to ingratiate ourselves so much with the individual that you become indispensable. So what he was doing was psychologically attacking you from different different avenues. So he wasn't just going at your addiction, he was now going at family ties, your sense of self. He was going through all the different methods.
Even my house, I can come over and I can fix all the damage that the boyfriend's done to the house. Oh yeah,
it's like being an addict. You want a simple solution fast.
Yeah.
You don't want to wait. So here comes this person.
We are not
Say that again.
Being an addict, you want a fast
Simple,
solution.
fast solution.
Simple, fast solution.
We don't have
a quick fix, and here comes somebody, a guy, doctor, whoever. I'm going to fix you. Put this together. I'm going to put your life together. Bam, pow.
It's going to be easy.
Yeah,
you don't have
I got
to do
the
the
answer.
work. I got everything for you.
I didn't have to think at all. If you want me to be honest, he had it written out, done for me. And actually, now girls, I didn't have to think about shit.
And that's, everybody wants it. Everybody wants somebody to step in and say, you know what? I'm gonna wave a magic wand. You get $60 million, and your life is all honky. No way. You have more problems with that kind of money. You get what I'm saying? You want somebody to come in and here's the thing: as human beings, we want an instant fix, but then we realize there's, what is it? Teach a man to give a man a fish, feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish, feed him for life. And as an addict, as a human being, as a child, standing next to a hot stove, your mom can tell you it's hot all you want. Until you touch that sucker and you have a burn and you cry your little heart out, and she looks at you and says, I love you, I'll take care of it, but you deserve that because you touched it. I tried to warn you and protect you. You've experienced it. Until you feel it, you're pretty much...
There are sufferings we have to allow people to go through so they don't continue to do the same suffering over and over. And though it might be hard for us to watch that suffering, we can give them a safe place to go through it, but we can't do that suffering for them. And that is what I've learned as a peer specialist and a sponsor. And I can't do that suffering for them. Like, I can't take that from them. They need to do that for themselves.
My mom would tell me, okay, so I'm Hindu and Sanskriti Wiccan. So we have a lot of ceremonies and festivals and celebrations. And it's basically celebrations of life. And everybody comes together. And I'm talking about 600 people is a small get-together, okay?
Wow.
Right? And so they always put up these tents. And the tents are bamboo. And as a little girl, I always was fascinated. I always thought it was pretty. And I would go and do this. And my fingers were shredded because I stroked the bamboo. And my mother would always tell me, don't touch it, it'll cut you. Because when they split bamboo, those threads are sharp as knives. And you don't feel it. It's like a razor blade. You don't feel it at all. So you can do this 100 times. And until you see the blood dripping, you have no idea. And then, of course, they have to pour alcohol over your hand to get into everything and wash it with a force. It's ridiculous. And they're crying. My mother would sit there. I fell from a 40-foot vine. I was a bad child, okay? I wanted to experience life. I'm saying she would cry for me, but she would still, at that point, tell me, not, it's okay. No, she would take that point to say very gently, this is something you needed to learn for yourself. I can tell you all you want, but until you feel the pain, you don't know. And I thought she was so mean for doing that as a little kid, and now I think it's the best thing in the whole world. Right? And it's basically what you had to go through with, right? Except he wasn't nice like my mom is. My mom is awesome. So what did this creep... Okay, let's not call him a creep, because essentially...
He's got his own suffering.
But here's the thing. While we understand he was an addict, and he had his own sufferings, and maybe this was his way of manifesting his own self-importance and his own self-confidence and feeling better about himself, this in no way excuses the behavior. Right. So we've already acknowledged that. We're not going to acknowledge it again. We're going to talk to him as if he's an aggressor or a predator, which is exactly what he was, a predator. Every predator preys for a reason.
Oh, yeah, because from there, for a week, he kept asking me to go to the Blues hockey game. I've never been to one, and it was on the same night as a concert me and my boyfriend were going to, and I kept saying, I can't do that. I've got a date with my boyfriend.
What was his reason behind asking you for the concert? Not the concert,
because
the hockey game.
I've never gone to one before, so I should get to go see the Blues play.
So were you interested in hockey?
No.
But he was.
Yes. Oh, he loves hockey.
Okay, so again, what was his reason? Like, did he just tell you because you need to do things for
he had
yourself?
season tickets, so he wanted me to go with him. And he could have asked his
But
friends or daughter.
was it like a date or?
Yes, definitely.
So he was asking you out on a date.
Yes.
So it wasn't like he was trying to say, "I'm your sponsor.
Oh no.
You need to go with me to do this."
Yeah, no,
This
it was
an
a
actual date. Okay.
for sure. And I mean, a date that I had the same date and day that I had with my boyfriend. So.
And you understood that it was a date. You didn't think it was a sponsor activity. Okay.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Because that's another thing I was thinking of, the pitfalls of my sponsor tells me this is a sponsor activity and it's not really, it's something they want to do. Okay, but
and I'm sure that happens too.
Right.
But for me, it was, I understood he was asking me out and it didn't feel comfortable because I had a date with my boyfriend. And then he kept hammering me that whole week, just the last concert you guys went to, was it any fun? Did you have a good time, or were you upset the whole time? And he made some points that, like, of course, when you're in an abusive relationship, a lot of the activities you guys are doing is not fun anymore.
Yeah.
So eventually I said yes. And I went.
Your boyfriend must have loved that.
Oh, no. Wasn't happy. Was not happy.
Was he physically abusive with
My
you?
boyfriend, yes. But at that time, I had already had my dad come over and his dad come over, and we had discussed my boyfriend moving back in with his parents, and my boyfriend had moved back into his parents' house.
So he was no longer in the home. So you weren't in any immediate physical danger. Because I'm thinking your sponsor would have put you in immediate physical danger by making you.
Right. I would never have been able to cancel that date if I knew he wasn't still living at my house. There's no way. So I canceled the date. And so much so, I went on to the hockey game, but like we were at the same center. He brought me his jersey to wear to the center that day.
And this is a week after you started at this, like, went in for help?
Not a week. It was probably a couple months.
Okay.
This was a few months' work.
So he'd already been building that rapport with you.
With me and trying to help my brother, like you said, with the family ties and, and so, I mean, it was obviously a date. He drove there, he drove us there, and he drove us there. There was some touching on the legs, some touching on the arm.
But at this time, you were already separating from your boyfriend.
I mean, that he was out of the house, but there was still
you were still in a committed relationship.
Correct. There was still he's supposed to be going to counseling for his mental health issues that were supposedly making him the way that he was to me and everything. So there was supposed to still be help.
Don't you hate that?
Right.
I hate when I hear someone says, "You made me do that." Mm-hmm. No, I did not. Right. I did not somehow telepathically could take control of your body and make you hit me. No.
No.
See what you made me do? I made you spill something because I made you upset, or you allowed yourself to be upset enough to do something. Take responsibility.
Right.
It's not your fault.
And I mean, eventually, you have to get your own damn help. I can't make you get help. I came to a point where I couldn't make him go to the doctor anymore. Mm-hmm. I couldn't keep being in the punching bag either, but so I was hoping his parents, though, could help him start getting to the doctor, and maybe, I was not trying to give up. I really wasn't.
No, but you have to at least look at your own position too. You needed help. If you continue trying to help him above yourself, you would just keep going down.
Right. And in the long run, it was very good for me to get out of that relationship.
Can I give you an analogy? Mm-hmm. When you're on an airplane, if the plane's about to crash and the little yellow masks fall from the ceiling, you put your own mask on first before you help somebody else.
Yes. Yeah,
okay, so
that's from Ann Marita. From Valerie.
Valenissima. He always calls me Valerie.
It sounds better.
Valerie does?
I don't know.
Valenissima means keeper of divine knowledge.
Does it?
Oh.
I have no divine knowledge.
Yeah, that's about what we're going to call happening.
But yeah, so because just now when you were explaining the situation, it sounded like you were still apologizing because you said, I wasn't just trying to bail, I wasn't trying to get out. So don't stop looking at it. Nobody's going to look at it as you're bailing, you're getting out. And if they do, they're stupid. I'm sorry. You're stupid if you look at it like that. Because the fact is that if you're freaking passing out from lack of oxygen while you're putting somebody else's mask on and they're taking 10 minutes to recover, well, your lungs just exploded. You're dead. I'm sorry. And because you tried to help somebody else first. Put your own on first, then help them. Right?
That's a good point. But I mean, there's like a codependency in some people that
it is.
man, I think, is it in your mom too? Did you say that your mom was a codependent?
No,
Oh,
my mom is just this uber mama bear, ultra protective. She's an Indian mom.
Okay.
She's a tiger mom.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, there's just a codependency in me. I want to help everybody. But I like you said, I was really at a place I could not help myself. And this guy, he saw that. He saw she can't help herself, but I can help her. I got this.
And by helping you, he wasn't really helping you. He was helping himself.
Oh, yeah.
He was helping his ego. He was helping his own manifestation of self.
Yep. I mean, we got back from the hockey game. He asked me if I wanted to come up into his apartment, which is already inappropriate. I don't
see my etchings.
Yeah. I mean, unless if I'm having like a refuge gathering or groups over, I don't just invite peers into my house.
Right.
And he brought out his laptop and he showed me how to dismantle me and my boyfriend's finances because he already figured that out for me. He had me call Capital One to figure out my
so he was
authorized user. He had me call my Chase to figure out my authorized user agreement. I'm taking him off as the second user. Yeah, he had all, like, I don't know how long he had planned all this, but he had it all worked out. And I did. Like, anything he said, call Chase. Yeah, I do. Just pick up the phone. I'm just calling Chase. Call Capital One. Okay. Like, I was just doing it.
But those were helpful things. It's just the method he went about doing it is he took control instead of teaching you how to do it for yourself.
Yep.
Because he wanted to be indispensable. Son of a beat slap.
And then the next day I got an email just saying about, and that night he told me how beautiful I was from the first moment that I came into the center, which I was a wreck, you guys. Like, I was not beautiful. I was a fucking mess. But, I was so beautiful from the moment I came in and how much I deserve and how much he can give me, how much money he's coming into, so how he can help me financially, like all of these. It sounded great.
And help your brother.
Oh, my God. Oh, yeah. Oh, help my brother. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, it sounded fantastic. I was like, oh, okay. Here I am thinking I'm never going to be anything. I don't know how to get out of this freaking financial situation with my house. I'm going to lose my house. Like, here I am, have been destroyed for 2 years in an abusive relationship, and this guy's telling me the moon. He's going to bring the moon down and put it in my hands. Okay, do it.
Okay, so do you think okay, so there are people who will pathologically lie because it escalates from one step to the other, and then there's those who they've planned it out, it's premeditated. Do you think he was more of a premeditated person or something that it just got out of hand for him?
I think it was premeditated. I think that this
so you think he was an actual predator?
Yeah, I think that this was all intentionally how it could benefit him.
Okay. I'm so sorry that happened to you.
Yeah, I'm very, it took a few months and some very beautiful women in Al-Anon, and some wonderful women in NA, and then coming into the refuge recovery community for me to start very clearly seeing, and once those goggles were off, to then not start going, you're so stupid, how could you let this happen to you, you're not stupid. Not to beat myself up, but to start sending some compassion and forgiveness to myself.
Hey, I'm sorry. I'm not in recovery, but I'm going to tell you, if some guy came up to me and I wasn't married and said to me, you're beautiful and you're sweet and you're smart and I can do this for you because you deserve this and whatever. Hello, that's pretty much how, I'm sorry, no matter what, it's pretty much how everybody starts off in every relationship. You could be 8 years old and you love the girl next door and you pick her a dandelion, what is it, like one of those old daisies, because you're so pretty and this is the flower because it's pretty just like you. It's how it starts off. It's more than that. We want to be held in esteem. We want someone to see us as if we are beautiful and delicate and strong and vibrant and deserving. Essentially, we want to be the person who is deserving of love, of care, of compassion, of everything, gifts and bounties. We want to be princesses and we want to be warrior queens, right? So
I like warrior queen. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that. Me too. But cut them to feel them bleed, not see them bleed. Feel them bleed. Anyway, so don't beat yourself up for that. And you know what, listeners, I'm sure there is a ton of people out there listening to this thinking to themselves, yeah, I've been there. I know what it's like. I've been lied to, or I've been in Trinidad. We have a saying, we call it mama guy, right? Mama guy means that You tell somebody something, you sweet talk them, it's lyrics, you're saying something to them that is not necessarily 100% true, but in that moment you mean it so heartfeltly and you want them to believe it. And it's blowing smoke up their butt, basically. That's what it means, right? And everybody has had smoke blown up their butt at one point or the other. Right? Apparently Jeff enjoys it, but, you know. So why feel bad about being that's a victim mentality. Feeling bad about something that was done to you, it's not productive. Exactly. Feeling that you are stupid or whatever. No, you were ignorant of the fact that this could happen. All right, fine, it happened. Get over it, move on, move forward, and don't let it happen again. And if it happens again, what does the word fail mean? First attempt in trying. Right? 5th attempt in trying. 40th attempt in trying. You can fail your way to success all day. The point is, you have to get the mental realization, and you still have a little bit of this beat me up attitude, but we'll work on that separately.
Oh yeah, I've still got my Buddhist practice that I do to not do my second arrow of why
consciousness.
Of why, like you like. We do have to learn from every instance that we're in, and doing the why am I so dumb is not going to help me with trying to not create that suffering again for myself.
Have you ever heard the read?
No.
All right, I'm not going to give you the whole read, but I'm going to give you a few short little points, right? Actually, I'm just going to give you the last phrase. And these 8 words, the read fulfill, and ye harm none, do what ye will. Do whatever you want in the world. Harm nobody else, and that means and harm no one, not just them, not even yourself. So by thought, by deed, by word, and by inaction, because evil thrives and good men do nothing.
Yes.
Oh, I want to get in on this.
So, we'll get in on this when you're done. We can talk about this we have weeks of shows.
So we've sat here for 45 minutes now.
So we just poked and said we had 10 minutes left, and that was 5 minutes ago.
All right, so since then we've probably helped 6 people. So plug us for some donations.
Yeah, Jeff had to get up. If you've been hearing crinkles in the background, baggies being put together, doors opening, cabinets opening, it's because he's been reaching in for Narcon and supplies for people who have come in and who need help. And of course, these supplies, while they're not as expensive if you go to the pharmacy for them, they still need money for it. So we need donations.
Please help us buy that Narcan and buy this food that we are giving out here. You can do that by going to monetwork.org. You can also donate every time you order anything on Amazon by going to smile.amazon.com and picking Missouri Reform and Opiate Network for your charity to support.
And remember, every newspaper has clip-outs and cutouts. If you are in Missouri and you are listening, we have Schnucks that has the Coupon Tuesdays. Yes. So if you are not using your coupons and you can afford to send them down to any local food shelter or to this organization as well, there might be people who would be able to donate some money, and then you can go use those coupons to buy fruit powdered milk. Because, they do need stable products for people who may or may not have electricity at a given point in time, right? And you got to remember, addiction is not something that affects only the individual that is going through it. It affects the entire family and the community. So it could be a mother, it could be a sister, it could be a brother, it could be a father, it could be a child. If it affects one, it affects the family.
Yes, and we do help the whole family here at Mo Network by supporting them at the family groups and by trying to educate the whole family on addiction.
We have a Time magazine article that came out. When did it come out? The opioid addiction article.
No, let's see that.
All right, well, it's a recent Time magazine article. I know we just have a couple minutes left, but I want to plug this article because I want to plug the understanding of the opioid addiction. And it's not just that dirty person on the street. It's your teacher. It's your firefighter. It's your local cashier. It's that happy girl who gives you your sodas at the shop, or the grandma who gives you a hard candy. It's pretty much anybody.
It doesn't discriminate, and it goes down to not just heroin, but pills, opiate pills. doctors are hooked on them.
Yes.
It touches everybody.
Once you're into heroin or any opiate, it's almost like a relationship with the person you love. And letting go of that, the thought of never seeing someone I love again, I couldn't imagine giving it up forever. But at the same time, I want to do something with myself. I feel like I have a lot of potential. This was from an addict, Dan, a homeless drug user in the south of Market neighborhood of San Francisco. This edition of Time magazine was, March 5th, thank you, March 5th. And you can go to your local library, go online, you can check it out. But it has the opioid diaries in it. And these cover, well, there are photographs. It tells us, it starts out, the opioid crisis is the worst addiction epidemic in the U.S. history. Drug overdoses kill nearly 64,000 people per year. And the nation's life expectancy has fallen for 2 years in a row. I'm giving you the teaser so you can check it out, because I am looking at the time. And Jimmy, how much longer do we have?
Got about 2 minutes.
So we have about 2 minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start wrapping up. Check out the opioid diaries. Remember, you can go on Facebook, and what is the proper name of the center on Facebook?
Missouri Reform and Opiate
Recovery.
Missouri Network for Opiate Reform and Recovery.
Missouri Network for Opiate Reform and Recovery.
We cannot save them if they're dead, so that's what the Narcan helps us do.
And in episode 2 of this show, of this series, we discussed Narcan, its uses, its potentials, and the necessity for not just the opiate user, but the family members and friends to have a supply just in case something happens. It's $120, $140 at the store. It's not a prescription drug. You can get it over the counter at Walgreens or Walmart. But if you can't afford it, you can come down here and get one. It can save someone's life
For free.
from an overdose. All right, so that is all the time we have. Thank you for joining us this week on Talk Time with Val. Thank you to Larissa and Jessica and Danielle and Jeff. And until next week's episode, be well, be safe, and blessed be.